Can you make a living with sync licensing? Let's discuss. A lot of new composers in the music licensing field ask this question, and the short answer is yes, you can make a living purely from sync licensing. But the long answer is that very few people actually achieve this, and it can take many years. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody, I'm just telling it like it is. In fact, I'm going to give you some big tips in a few minutes, but I would guess that maybe 2 or 3% of sync licensing composers do this full time and actually make a full-time living from it. We're going to call these the elite composers. Check this out too. Case in point. Have you watched any other YouTubers like me who talk about sync licensing and they claim that they earn a living from it? I know I have, but a lot of them also seem to be focusing on their YouTube and their efforts on social media, and they sell online courses teaching other people how to do it. So they're making money from licensing, yes, but they're also making money from the YouTube partner program, ad revenue, and their online courses. So they're not doing strictly sync. Would they really need to sell courses online if they were making a living from it? And I'm not talking about any particular YouTuber. I'm just saying that people like us who earn passive income are the people who are most likely to have a plethora of income streams. Anyway, like I said before, yes, you can make a living from sync licensing. I'm going to give you a handful of helpful tips that will help you hopefully get there. Tip number 1, write trailer music. Trailer music commands basically the biggest sync fees. It's common to earn 5 figures for sync fees for trailer music. Trailer music is very competitive and it takes a while. You have to really do it a lot, write it a lot, and mix it and everything in order to make it sound authentic. But if you get good at it and you land, say, 1, 2, 3 trailers in 1 year, you could make a pretty good salary from that alone, the sync fees from that. Okay, tip number 2, write songs with vocals. These are also increasing in popularity lately. They're going to earn higher than average sync fees and higher than average back-end royalties. It's a different category through your PRO when it's vocal music versus background instrumental. When you're writing vocal music, it's usually good to work with a team of composers so that everyone can do what they're best at. Hire like a really good singer, unless you are one. Hire somebody who can play real drums if you need real drums, or play guitar, etc. Basically, you want it to be as good as possible. And yes, this will cut into the royalties unless people work for hire, but it'll also maximize the song's potential. And working with others will help you put out music more consistently. Okay, tip number 3, write music that is geared towards commercials. Commercials are another type of placement that earn high sync fees and good back-end royalties. The reason it earns good back-end royalties is because of the sheer amount of plays that commercials get. It could air 100 times on one station per day. Listen to music in commercials and write stuff that is similar to that music. You're also going to need to get good at creating 30-second edits and 60-second edits of your tracks, because most commercials are exactly 30 seconds or 60 seconds. Tip number 4, if you go the instrumental route, you'll need to write at least 100 high-quality tracks per year, which is about 2 tracks per week, okay? Don't just settle for okay tracks. Make every single track really good. Keep working on every piece of music until it's truly great. And don't expect to go full-time with instrumental background music for at least 5 to 7 years, I would say. I know that sounds like crazy a lot, but we're telling it like it is, guys. I'm not giving you false hopes. I'm just telling you how it is in this business. It's a slow-moving. The reason it takes so long is because it's slow-moving. Your music could get published a year after you write it. It could start getting placements 6 months after that. You could get paid for those placements 9 months after that. So you see what I mean? It's a snowball effect. And you might be able to shave some time off of the 5 to 7 year timeline, like I said, if you do 150 tracks per year, let's say, so 3 per week. Tip number 5, make sure that you're collecting all of your royalties that are owed to you. This includes PRO royalties, obviously, neighboring rights royalties, content ID royalties, and so on. Check out this other video that I did talking about all the types of royalties you can earn, and make sure you're collecting all of them. Tip number 6, don't be afraid of exclusivity. You can work with non-exclusive libraries, but a lot of those are not going to be TV placements. Exclusive libraries, what it means is that they own your music, usually in perpetuity. They own the publishing share and you own the writer's share. And you can't put the same music into other libraries. So it's one library has exclusive rights to license that music. Don't be afraid of it. Like I've said in other videos, at least 99% of my TV placements come from exclusive libraries. And these days, the royalty-free libraries are going to earn you small dollars a month or pennies or whatever. Royalty-free libraries are not a good way to make a living, in my opinion. Maybe 10 years ago, it would have been because it wasn't subscription-based. Once every library turned to the subscription model, and it watered down the industry very significantly, like 90%. Even just on Pond 5, I used to sell maybe 4 tracks per month at $25 or $30 each. So I'd get $100 from that. Now I sell 4 tracks through the subscription pricing, and I'm getting like $4 or $5. So yeah, royalty free, in my opinion, is not the way to go to make full-time income with sync licensing. If you are making a living from non-exclusive royalty-free libraries, let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear how you do it. All right, now let's look at some of the reasons why a lot of composers don't make a living from sync licensing. Number 1, their music isn't good enough. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah, not everyone is as good as they think. Your music needs to be well written, professionally mixed and mastered, and structured for sync. The people who do this for a living make sure that every piece of music is a masterpiece. You're not churning out garbage. Number 2, they give up too early. Some composers just don't last long in the business because they're not getting royalties after a year or whatever. It takes time to get royalties. It takes time for everything, for libraries to publish the music. You have to have patience. If you have no patience, then this is not your ticket to full-time work. Number 3, some composers don't diversify. I think you really need to diversify not only the styles of music that you create, but also the libraries that you work with. If you only work with one library, you're probably going to get a bunch of similar placements through them, which is fine, but you want to get every type of placement. This will maximize the different opportunities that you have and will maximize the amount of placements you can get, which is obviously crucial to your success and your amount of money that you earn. Okay, number 4, some composers are just working with the wrong libraries. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Let's say you give one library 5 albums and they just don't do well. You have to start small, put a little bit in one, a little bit in another library, and see which ones work well for you. Some libraries just aren't really that happening either. So through trial and error, you have to find out which ones are going to work for you and work with those as much as you can. Working with successful libraries is very important and directly affects the amount of money that you earn. Check out this other video where I discuss how to find good music libraries, and you'll hopefully avoid working with some bad ones. Number 5, the composers aren't collecting all the royalties that they deserve. Okay, as I mentioned before, collect everything you can. Sign up with all the appropriate organizations. Get the ball rolling, really, with all the types of royalties. Obviously, nobody wants to leave money on the table with like neighboring rights royalties especially. There's money to be made there, and not everybody knows about it either. Sound exchange is another one. And the number 6 reason why some composers don't make a living from it, they're not writing enough music every year. For instrumentals, like I said, you should probably do about 100 tracks or more per year. For vocal tracks, I would try to do at least 40 or 50 per year. No matter how you look at it, you have to have a large catalog of music in order to make a living from sync licensing. This usually takes years or even a decade or more. Once again, don't shoot the messenger. This is how the business works, guys. To build up enough royalties to make a living does take a long time. Don't quit your day job, by the way, just to immediately start sync licensing right now. Okay, if you haven't been doing it for at least 5 years, then you probably are going to not really make any money in the first 2 years. But if you're lucky enough to land several trailers per year, that is a golden ticket. You can make a living from that alone. All right, if you do strictly vocal music, you probably won't pump out as much music as an instrumental producer. But if you can land 1 vocal placement per week, that will be a good start. You're probably going to have to get more placements than that to earn a living. But it can be tough to get a lot of vocal placements. If you land multiple commercials per year, then you can earn a pretty decent amount of income from that. It might be enough to be sustainable with a few commercials. Though remember, the back-end royalties won't come in for at least 9 months in most cases. after the initial air date. If you write instrumental music, work with A-list libraries, which through trial and error is the only really way that you can know which ones are good for you. Eventually, you might be able to make a living from this, but it takes a big catalog. A lot of people have thrown out the number 1,500 tracks is what you need to make a living from instrumental sync licensing music. Even if you start your career really strong, it will still take a while to get paid, especially for international placements. Also, if you make the dive and quit your job to do sync licensing, I would suggest that you have some money saved up in the bank, but don't do it until you've had at least a few years experience doing it with success. Also, making a living depends on many factors, such as where you live, how much you need to earn, whether you have a family to take care of, how much your expenses are, and how luxurious you want to live. If you're like most sync composers, you probably earn money in other ways. Some people have full-time jobs and they do this on the side, which is totally fine. It's still a fun thing to do. If you're like me, a full-time musician who earns money through various music-related methods, that's cool too. At the very least, it could be a nice side hustle for you. I'm going to say this too, doing just sync licensing as a profession for a living can be unpredictable. Okay, your biggest payments are probably going to be from your performing rights organization, so you'll get those quarterly. They can vary significantly, all right? You might get, I'm just going to put random numbers out here, you might get $5,000 in quarter one, but you only get $2,800 in the second quarter. So how do you budget your money? See what I mean? You have to be able to budget and save your money, at least in the beginning, in case your earnings fluctuate. So the composers who do this for a living are some of the best around. They probably are the best. If you want to earn a living from this, you have to be one of the best around. Be able to do multiple styles and always put out high quality music. Your mixes should be great, your masters should be great and appropriate for the situation. You don't want to just slam every master as loud as you can. Okay, that's not the goal here. And always keep improving. There's always something you can do better. Can you be a part of that small percentage of people who make a living from sync licensing? That largely depends on whether you're dedicated enough to keep pushing year after year. With a little bit of luck, you can become an elite composer, but you must be patient. By the way, guys, I also offer one-on-one sync licensing virtual courses. You can check them out on my website, check out the details. Link is in the description. Classes can cover whatever you want, such as mixing critiques, how to submit to libraries, how to compose music for TV, mixing and mastering techniques, finding music libraries, and much more. So sign up today.